You guys know, like, I'm big on vertical video right now, as in vertical video being video specifically to engage the phone user, Instagram stories, Snapchat. Not so much, like, I do the Instagram profile videos because I have to. But if I could only do stories all day, I would do it. I mean, hence why I hired somebody to do stories for me all weekend and not profile videos. I believe that much of their importance. Just some stats that kind of blow my mind. 70% of all like mobile traffic is video. So anybody on a phone, it's probably, this is like an older stats, it's probably like 80% now. I couldn't find an updated one, I was looking hard. 55% of all videos are viewed on, over the entire internet, are viewed on a mobile phone. Which is why I say YouTube's an asshole for making you turn that phone. Like, and that's probably more too, because I couldn't find an updated stat. This was from the last September's icon. People access social media on phones the most. Not their computers, not desktops. A lot of people don't even have computers. Kristen only has an iPad. Like, she does online shopping. A lot of people are like that. They don't have computers. They have tablets and phones. That's becoming normal. It's going to continue to become normal. People hate to turn their phones. When you inconvenience them, you're out. I mean, watch anybody. It's like you see a story and it's like from a brand. It's like, turn phone. It's like, nope, I'm done. Like, they don't do it. Kids don't do it. They don't, like, it's, just watch them. Don't read it, but watch, like, if your nieces, nephews, like, children, look what they're doing. Like, that's what your future is. Like, that's who you're going to market to. They're showing you. It's right in front of you. This is actually a current stat, which blew my mind. Snapchat or Instagram stories have 300 million monthly users, and that's up from 200 from when I did this in September. That's active users. That's 2 times more than Snapchat. That's like a recent stat. I was like mind blown. It's 100 million users in like 6 months. Let that sink in. Like, according to Snapchat, ads that are displayed vertically, and this is an older stat too, so I can only imagine it's more, but they said ads that are vertically are 9 times more likely to be watched the entire video. Snapchat's the only one that has really good data on vertical ads, at least that they're publishing. I was really searching for some for Instagram because I wanted to make these numbers like sink in more, even though they're already big. But yeah, the engagement is 3 times higher, which means when you have that on an ad, the more engaged your ad is, the less you as the ad buyer pay. That's why if you do Instagram stories like I do and like what I've taught you and told you all the principles and I'm going to show you, they're going to be engaging.
Sorry, you said 9 times?
Yeah, 9 times more likely to be watched all the way through. And it's 4 seconds to grab the attention on pretty much any video on social media. 4 seconds. So that's why, like I told you yesterday, your clothes matter, your presentation matters. I mean, if you have like an inconsistency, like that could cause you to lose money on video. If you have like, if you have a lazy eye or something, and not being a jerk, like, I'm probably turning people off with my teeth, like, so I'm probably going to work on getting those fixed eventually, like, because that's, it's 4 seconds. Oh, that guy's beard's not clean. Fuck that, I'm out. Oh, that guy's hair is messy. I'm out. Oh, that guy, he's white. I don't like him. I'm out. That's all you got. 4 seconds. So YouTube, a lot of people don't know this, but YouTube's been creating and working on an adaptive algorithm for vertical video. I don't know how far they come with it, but they did announce and start beta testing what they're calling YouTube Reels, which is Instagram stories on YouTube. If they make that a thing, I'm going to go all in on that, as well as whatever else is coming, because I'm assuming by the patterns that people do on Instagram that is going to turn into a, hey guys, I made a new YouTube video. It's on no, I'm going to make videos just for those reels. Everybody's over here, I'm over here. It could pay off, it might not. I don't know, but it's worth a shot. It's better to be a trendsetter and ahead of the curve. I talked about yesterday YouTube being a wave is really hard for people to hop on right now. Let's see, it's better to be a trendsetter. Yeah. It makes you show, don't tell. This influences more than talking. Because if you try to 15-second, 30-second, 45-second videos of stuff like we're putting in my stories right now, if you open your mouth, you run out of time. 15 seconds is not a lot of time to say anything. So the visuals matter more than the words. Show, don't tell. Like, and I'm learning that, like when I talked about earlier today, I was critiquing some of my own stories where I was like, longer, slower clips that are more meaningful are having more of an impact than a lot of real fast clips. But I mean, I didn't know that until, because I made a fuck ton of videos, a lot of fast clips. But I got a couple of messages, and they were saying, Ryan, I love your stories, but they're just a little hard to follow, like there's too much. And I was like, oh, get smarter. But you know, I took that advice, and I was like, and I studied it. I'm like, wow, maybe they are. So a lot of my stories, like I was looking at one earlier, I only used 11 clips over the course of 30 seconds. You know, so it's be mindful of like what you're filming. Like film a lot, but go for something that's gonna, like you don't need to show, you know, the coffee pot and the cup of coffee and you pouring it. You just show you holding the coffee pot. People are gonna automatically go, oh, you drink coffee. Like I'm learning that as I go. But this is like real time me changing my strategies. All right, so let's talk about storytelling because this is important, and then we're going to do some fun stuff. For my stories, I like to break things down into 5-5-5 or 10-10-10. If you go longer than 30 seconds, 45 seconds, 30 seconds seems to be a sweet spot right now for my stories at least. They seem to be easy to make, and they seem to me establish a better storyline and a better, you know, watch thing for like a better video for the viewer. And when you break it down into 10-10-10, what I mean by that is I need enough clips to cover 10 seconds establishing what I'm doing and where it is. I need 10 seconds to show exactly what I'm doing, where I'm at. And then 10 seconds to close out the story or show that I'm done doing whatever it is I'm showing. That is a story. It's a 3-part narrative, beginning, middle, end. You can do a lot of research on that. I urge you to get better at being storytellers, but it's conflict, setup, resolution. It's in a lot of filmmakers use it, like obviously over across like a 2-hour movie, it's a little different than a 15-second clip. But if you nail that, and you're not going to nail it every time, like it's hard because you're only working at 15-second time frames. It's very hard to do. But if you nail it like 75% of the time, your stories are going to get watched more than everybody else's. And what happens when they watch the stories, Instagram sees your stories are active, they make your account seem engaged, you're going to be shown more. And also, the more, I don't know if you know what the stories at the top, I think they're based on like direct messages or, you know, the amount, like if you watch their stories or engagement on it, because I always see the same few on the front of mine, and they're usually the first couple that watch my story, and they're also the ones that like have engaged with me in the past or sent me DMs or asked me questions. Those are the ones I see first. You always want to be first. Only make the story as long as it needs to be. Like if it's just 15 seconds, just post a 15-second video. You showed up that day. You know, I'd like to make more stories throughout the day. Like I'm kind of hoping that I can just go fuck around and make stories all day because it seems fun, but I don't need to do that. You know? So shorter content if it tells a story and has a message at the same time. This is also a thing too. Not all of yours are going to have a message, but they should all be a story. And if you nail a message, like as in your values, your beliefs, all that stuff we talked about, influence, they're going to be that much more effective. And I'm saying you're not going to nail this every single time. Like I can't do it. If somebody does it, I want to talk to them and probably pay them to teach me because it's practice and doing it over and over and over. You must get to the point quickly and efficiently. This goes back to talking in there. You don't have a lot of time. And the reason I see this skill is so valuable with the stories is, one, not a lot of people are utilizing it for what I see it can be used for, which is what the entire yesterday was about. Two, not only can you use this to make your own business from this and make yourself stand out, but I'm sure if you include some stories with your podcast thing, you're going to get paid a little bit more. Ty Lopez and a lot of people are selling social media marketing agencies. It's like $2,000, a money-making opportunity. You teach local businesses how to make money on social media. What if you just made a story? You didn't say anything. Like I have a friend who opened a bar downtown, and I actually did this already, and I sent it to him. Like I was just there, the bar was empty. I sent him the story. Like I just made a fun one for him. He's going to use it for his. He's going to use it for some of his Instagram ads. That like value. Now, if I wanted to come back and ask him, hey man, why don't I do that every month? He'd be like, oh, that'd be awesome. I was like, oh, $500, I'll do it. How many of those you need? you know? And the breakdown of that, and that's why like I want to do it for brands because I love fashion, I love style. I'd love to do this for brands. But I presented the idea to the agency that still rests my YouTube, and they kind of laughed at it. They're like, that's not going to work. And I'm like, oh, it will. Just wait. But like, as a person who has this knowledge now of making stories like this that are that engaging, companies like, Aldo shoes or like, these, even Louis Vuitton or like Gucci, when they make a commercial, they spend thousands of dollars. It's a full production. What's $1,000 if you make a 15-second story for them? But you make it first, show it to them. Don't ask for anything in return. Just say, yo, I made this. Post it on your story, tag them in it because they're going to watch it. Because no matter what anybody says, how big they are on Instagram, they see those DMs and tags. And you're going to get on the radar. So that's just another way. If somebody could take that and run with it and come back to Icon in like 6 months and tell me if it worked, I'd love to know if that works. But a lot of guys in here want to use it to grow their own brand, but that is an opportunity that everybody's trying to get local marketing agencies and stuff to do, like clients. Nobody's like, yo, I'll just make these stories for you. Oh, I like them, they're fun. Oh, $250 a story. Okay, I'll do one a month. You have like 15 of those in your local town. Yeah, like they take, as you get good, how long is it, each story? You've been filming a lot more, but how long are you spending on? She made a story on her own timeline this morning before she came to do them all day for me.
I got here at 9:50 and I sat in my car on my laptop until 10 o'clock and posted a 30-second story under my personal account. And then I've been editing it really quick. It took me like 10 minutes.
So they don't take long. But yeah, so, all right, so let's talk about, so that's stories. Does anybody have any questions on storytelling? Yeah, man.
So do you feel like they should either be like 15, 30, 45, what about like 20 second, like if your video falls in that?
If it falls in that, I try to shoot it for the full time span. I don't want to do like a full 15 and then a 5, like just for Instagram purposes. Like, that Instagram gives you 15-second chunks, so I just try to fill up the 2. Honestly, if I do that, I've done it a couple of times. I just like left blank space to make the video 15 seconds. I don't know.
You make like a call to action at the end, like
yeah,
or some shit.
And you can always type in text to like go with the story. Like, I don't know if you guys saw, I did one with me deadlifting. Like, it's because I had no footage. I just wrote text and made it take. But I made the text bounce around and do cool, it was engaging still, but it was all text. And that's nothing too, like what I'm showing you, like they can be like, we film a lot with the cameras and the GoPros. So it's like, but they can just be text. You don't have to show your face. You can say what you want, but if they're engaging, that's the whole point. But yeah, to answer that, like some of mine have been like 26 seconds. If the story's good, I just go with it. But if I can rearrange it, you'll see if I use a lot of slow-mos, that means I was trying to fill time. So, and you know what, as you're doing the clips, you've done a couple, so it's like, it's like, damn, I got to fill 3 seconds. 50%? Right. So, anyways, so, all right, so any storytelling questions? Any other ones?
How often did you say you're doing stories, Ryan?
To start, and this is what I did, and I think I attempt people to try, and I still stand by it. I went 30 days without missing a day. And then I would have gone 60 days, but the 30th day actually fell on my birthday, and we had booked a nice little staycation at the hotel next to where we had the event yesterday. And we stayed there for like 4 days, brought the baby. It was fun. I wasn't allowed to make stories, she told me on that trip. So, but it gave me a break, and then I went back and I did another 30 days. But what happened was it's not the 2 things, the power in that is it's repetitive because you're going to get really good really quickly. But 2, your Instagram right now, what I saw by doing the 30 days is like when I started, my account was at like 4,000 followers. And I was only getting like 150, 200 views on a story. Like I was showing my outfits some days, but like they weren't engaging, they weren't that special. But by like day 15, I was getting like 400 views. Day 30, I was getting like 550, 600. After 6 months of doing these, now I'm getting like 1,000, 1,200. I've gotten location tags like 1,700. But in doing that, like it's a consistent thing. So Instagram sees the engagement, but they also see your followers will see you starting to pop up more. the likelihood of them watching your story, they may not care about you right now, and that's nothing against you. They just, you don't put up good stories yet. They don't know why they should watch your stories. But when you do it, like it might take you posting 14 stories in a row before one of your friends goes, "Wow, Ryan's posting a lot of stories. Let me check one out." Yo, that was dope.
All my friends watch your story.
Yeah. And like that happened, like that was a powerful realization for me because, I mean, Kristen, you've done a lot of cool shit. You have a podcast with a shit ton of members. I mean, you have books, like video, like when you're an entrepreneur online, you create a lot of awesome stuff that by all means should get you accolades. But your friends probably don't say shit to you. They're like, it's like, oh, I had a Kindle bestseller. Yo, I had a $25,000 a month. Oh, that's cool. Like, I released this product yesterday. I did 1,000 sales in one day. Oh, what were you talking about? But I started making the stories, and all of my friends that I don't talk to, names started popping up on my stories. All her friends that don't care, never cared about anything I do, that at one point they thought I was a porn star. Like, now are watching all my stories. Bar owners, local people in my town, like we're gonna go to the estate tonight. Every single one of their bartenders watches my stories. I don't know half of them. One of them watched it, told the others. That's how, when I started doing it, was a motivation for me to keep going because I'm like, yo, I'm kind of onto something. And then when I started meeting people that, like I met Sammy at Elliot's thing. I never met Sammy before. He's like, dude, you make some of the most awesome stories.
That's how I found you.
Yeah.
Somebody shouted you out.
Yeah, it was like, when you're doing stuff, not everything you do is viable word of mouth marketing. Like 90% of what we're doing online is marketing and selling. It's not word of mouth. Like Facebook got big because of word of mouth. It was cool. Instagram, same thing. Like that's how there's even a line in the movie with Justin Timberlake, and he's like, Facebook's cool, don't fuck that up. Like the stories, these are cool, I'm not gonna fuck this up. So I just kept making them. I'm still just making them. And I do my best not to really sell in them. Like you guys don't see sales in my stories, but you see influence. That's when I noticed the power. It was the repetition, and plus you will get really good at 30 days. But it's hard. Like especially if you don't know what you're doing, if you never edited before, if you don't know how to work a GoPro, like Andrew was, I mean, how many? I know you didn't go every day for 30 days, but you were really consistent out of everybody.
Especially in the beginning, I mean, I was trying to make them. I was also kind of new to video editing and stuff like that. But between the podcast and my personal daily vlog stories, about probably 5 out of a week or whatever.
Yeah, 5 days a week.
I tried to be consistent for 1 week. I went all 7 days, and then 8 days.
Well, it's like anything. If you're uncomfortable with something, if you do it every day, you're not going to be uncomfortable with it after. 21 days is like a habit. You create a habit in 21 days. I just did 30 because it sounded better, but by day 21, you're probably going to have a pretty good grasp on how to edit your videos, film, shoot. Day 1 is probably going to be terrible, but here's the thing. The first story you put up is still better than probably 99% of what your friends have in their feeds. They don't see it. It's still a minority. Nobody is doing this shit. To the degree that I've taken it.
You don't recommend doing pictures, just videos?
Sometimes. I mean, I just try to do this. I try to keep the stories I don't want to take too much of their time. I treat most people's times very, it's a valuable resource. I take my time, I value it highly. I want to respect other people. That's why when I say I do shorter videos, I don't understand why people get mad at me for it. I say the same thing. So the first story you post is the biggest one. That's going to get the most views. No matter how dope you make it, the first one, every story, every time it drops, it's 20% every time. Sometimes you go a little better than that, but that's the reality of it. So I want that first one to be badass. So I don't want to waste it with a picture of my food. After I've posted a good story, I'll post other shit. And then the next day, before I post the new dope story, I delete all the ones I don't want in front of it. I want the first one to be the most badass one. unless I'm establishing something. Like before the event, I didn't really have time to make too many stories, but I posted a picture of me writing this packet. It was on purpose. It was, I have an event coming up. I just wrote like 10,000 words. You shouldn't miss this. Like, it had a point. But I don't always do that now. I don't want to waste it. And, certain things are only good for the stories. Like, if you have a theme to your account, like, you chugging a beer is, like, as cool as it is, shouldn't vibe on your story. It might be bad for business or on your profile. But you can put it in your story and make a lot of people laugh. Like, or you can make a video of you chugging a beer, edit it really good, and look awesome. Like, so, what you put in there should have value. Or as far as it should have you're trying to influence, and that's the whole point of it. And don't disrespect people's time. Like, they're watching a lot of shitty boomerangs. So, so angles. Angles and transitions are the two things that make what I do and like what Savannah's been doing stand out far above the rest. How you move from one clip to another is what makes the viewer go like this and follow along your story, and that increases engagement. It makes people keep watching, and that's what you want. 4 seconds, 8 seconds, 15 seconds, you want them to continue to watch. So if it's one singular angle, it's boring. If the camera doesn't move, it's boring. If it's all your videos are hard cuts from one clip to the next, it's harsh. It's not smooth. That's why every time she ends something, the camera does something weird, just like that. Now you'll see when I film. Well, I don't know when I'm going to film yet. I have to figure that out. But you never should end a shot just turn the camera off. Do something. Go. Throw the camera. Do something. Like, make it so. And what you're doing is when you go to edit them together, which I'm going to show you guys, is the camera blurs. Unless it's a super expensive camera, and then chances are that's too big to throw around anyways, and you shouldn't use it. But like a GoPro, when I'm holding it like this, and I go like that, right about here, it blurs the footage because the autofocus can't keep up. Now the next clip, if I go like this, and then the next clip I'm over here, and I go like that, it's gonna blur somewhere up here. So when I put those two clips together, it goes down. Now, but look at the direction it's going. So it goes down. Now the next clip is coming down. It's smooth on the eyes. And then if the next clip is I'm showing this, I'm like around that, and then I go like that. Then the next clip is like this. It smooth directs the eyes where you want to go. And it's hard to nail them every single time. But what I do now a lot of times is I'll do the same shot 4 times. I'm sure Andy, you probably do. So it's like the water bottle. I'll go boom. And then up, and I'll go there. I'll go like that. You can't help but do the sound effect. But the point is when I'm editing the footage later, I don't know which one's going to fit in the best. I have a habit, and it's very easy for every shot to just go down because it's natural motion. But if your story is always going down because you're flowing the eye down, it's hard to. It just doesn't look as good. So I try to make it a habit to. If you guys have noticed lately, they've all been going like this. That's because it's a pretty cool effect, and it's easy to transition because I go a lot of different ways with it. But yeah, so I'll take something as mundane as that, film it 4 different times, and that becomes, then it's when I'm editing it, I'm like, okay, shit, that way didn't work, but I have this next one, that one worked, boom, done. And I like to use this setup, and I'm going to talk about my gear too, but the GoPro, you can't see your shot. You don't know what you're shooting. You're just hoping you get something, and it's fun, and sometimes you get shit. But that's why I do that. So I give myself more ways to succeed if I get a couple of different angles. So, but the that was more transitions. But angles, if you can't do transitions, you're at the gym, it's not so much about transitions unless you have somebody doing it for you or with you to help you. And even if you have somebody to help you, chances are they're going to suck at trying to help you. We were talking about that. As much as you want them to help you, it's better off. Hold my camera, and they're like, what's?
Too close or something.
Yeah, or just something doesn't work, and you lost it. So in those situations, angles, you can do one pull-up, but you have a shot from here, a shot from here, a shot from here, a shot from holding the camera in your mouth. It's not smooth on the eye, but it's not boring because it's like all these different shots. Like that's how you make hard cuts and like gym stuff a little more interesting. Yes.
On that then, so you and Savannah obviously work together then.
Mm-hmm.
How often, like per week, do you obviously like? Because obviously it's not like a full-time 40-hour-a-week employee. It's more like freelance.
No, this is the first time she's worked with me.
Oh really? Okay.
I met Savannah, the coffee back there, Brutalicious. I just happened to be up there, and the girl that was here that dropped it off, Rio, a friendly guy. I talk to everybody that works there. I go in there every day. I spend a lot of time in there. Like I cycle, I go in there, and I write my daily email. I'm there for like an hour some days. Yeah, our daughter stands on the table. Like it's like I'm there a lot. So naturally, after doing that, they're like, "What do you do? You're here a while." So I share what I do. And then Rio is friends with her because she went up there with her girlfriend a lot. And like, I think Rio introduced me to you or Taylor did or somebody. They're like, "Oh, you should meet Savannah. She's got a YouTube channel." So I checked out her YouTube channel. She's got like 3,500 subscribers. I was like, "Yo, her stuff's good." But then we started talking, and she saw my YouTube channel, and I was like, "Yo, I'm kind of doing these stories." And then she would literally see me filming them in there. And she followed me on Instagram. I followed her, and one day she made one, tagged me in it. I was like, "Yo, this is good." I actually reposted it if you guys saw it. Like from that point forward, like you didn't make them all the time, but I was like, "Yo, I knew she had the ability to do cool ones." I was like, I'm probably going to need somebody to do these for me. And I had a hard time. Like, I'm like, I don't want to. It's like, because I've made all of mine. I'm like, yo, mine are the best. Like, so it's, it's hard to let the reins go a little bit. But I knew that if I didn't hire her for this event, I would not have all that awesome footage. So, hiring her was, and she happens to make really good ones. So it works out. So, but yeah, that's, I urge, like, with the stories, they're a personal thing. There's something that I think everybody should do on their own. In situations like this, obviously I can't do it on my own or else I'm not delivering on the value of why everybody's here. I'm more worried about my story. I'm not going to do that to everybody who paid and flew across the country to be here. So, but now I'm trying to figure out more ways I can use Savannah because they're like...
Well, it seems like it can definitely help out a lot.
Yeah, photography. So, but yeah, back on angles and transitions. So, I mean, weird angles like a coffee cup, put a GoPro inside a coffee cup, put a GoPro on the side of a car door, tape it to something. Like, the good thing about GoPros and why I like them is they're not cheap. Like, it's $200. It's not cheap, but I can throw this at the wall. It's not gonna break. I break frames all the time, like the little plastic things that hold the cameras. I'm constantly ordering parts like that show up at the house, but it's very, yeah, I put a GoPro on a firework and blew it up just to see what would happen. Yeah, I have 3 of them right now, but it's one of them. It was the oldest and shittiest one. But yeah, these are just inconspicuous and easy to use. And when I say weirder angles, like you can put these things anywhere and not look like a weirdo doing it. Like you take it out of the frame and it's nothing. So like I would like walk into a convenience store when I'm going to buy a Rebel and I'll put it in the cooler and then step back and then open the cooler, grab a Rebel, close it, and then go, okay, I get my camera again. Because that's what you got to do. If you're holding a DSLR, you look like a fucking asshole doing that.
Or a creep at the playground.
Yeah. Or another one, like I'd like to take footage of my daughter at the playground. This is a lot less creepy than a big old DSLR. I'm not trying to get beat up by some angry father at the playground that's unhappy he's there because he's, rather be doing something else. Like I like going to the playground. I want to show it, but I also don't want to be a creepy guy. Like, where's your van? It's like, why are you taking video of my son? It's like, whoa, dude. All right. So that's never happened. I don't want that to happen. That's why, and it's just inconspicuous too. Like I fly a lot. I just put it right here. I'm having a view of me walking. Nobody knows it's there, but I'm still establishing that I'm walking somewhere. And then when I take it out of TSA, it's just take my, it's very inconspicuous. I don't have to explain, oh, I'm a YouTuber, I do this. Because that is common. Like, it's not uncommon, especially in LA when I go out there. Like, everybody's got a DSLR. It's just like, I feel bad for you guys. They're heavy. But, yeah, so weirder angles. The GoPros, and they have creative mounts. Like, I cycle a lot, so I have a lot of weird mounts on my bike to try to get weird views. And, like, one on the front, one on the back, one on my helmet, one's in my mouth. Like, you can't do that with any other camera. So the weird angle is just kind of, I mean, you could set like one of those up different places, but it's just so much easier when you have something like this. So that's why I'm partial to them. So try to keep the eyes moving and the viewer engaged. I pretty much established that. For my stories, I try to get new angles every 2 to 3 seconds, or transitions every 2 to 3 seconds. You want to be keeping people changing. And if it's a longer story and I'm trying to establish, like, it may be 5 to 6 seconds, but it's just kind of, I fit it in with what I'm doing at that moment. If you're filming longer videos, like when Malik was filming, I was like, lean in, like, and this is for like profile stuff, like when you're just talking to your camera, providing value, or like presenting, like, notice I don't like to stand still, I'm moving around. Like, you just want to keep people's eyes kind of moving because it gets boring watching somebody stand in the same place. Like, we noticed when Malik filmed this video, like, he was using his hands, but he was standing too close so you couldn't see his hands. Like, I use my hands a lot, so when I'm doing that, I'm back here, but when I'm trying to make a point, I'm in here. So it breaks up the monotony of just watching a person talking to you. So. All right, transitions, I've covered this, but these are ones that, like, I'll explain when I'm doing this, but if you go online, yesterday I mentioned Hardcore Henry. It's a hard movie to watch, but it's very interesting because they do a lot of interesting transitions, and they were on the forefront of like POV cameras for that movie. They took a risk. I don't think it was kind of a failure, like it failed out of the box office, but for the sake of like stories, I think it was too much to watch in POV. Like, it's too long. 2 hours of a movie in POV, it's a lot, you know? But the transitions and stuff they do in there and that they do in movies, they all have names like whip pan, like super zoom, like you can YouTube like transitions for days. But when you're doing stories, what makes them so different and what makes them able to is I'm actually doing what they call shoot to edit. It's not editing. When I'm shooting, I'm thinking in my head of what I'm going to film and do next. So that way when I edit, it's fast and it saves me a lot of time. Like, so for example, like I said, if I know that I'm filming the room, I'm panning around, and the next shot's going to be me talking, it's boom. Now there's my transition. I don't have to like find a transition pack on Premiere Pro and put it in there and make it work. The camera just did it for me, and it's natural and smooth. Then it's like if I'm talking and I want to, maybe take a drink of my Red Bull. Boom. And the next one, so that downward motion, and then it stops right here. Now it goes up, and it goes down. When I it's like a puzzle when you put them together in the editing software. Which ones fit where, and if you do that, it's easy to shoot it because you're not worried about anything because you're just moving it around. And it just creates very unique looks. But they call it shoot to edit. And sometimes shit just works out really well. Like, I did one where a buddy of mine, because I set the camera down, just kind of established us walking in, and another guy he's a filmer, for JC, and he saw my camera sitting there, and he went up and he's like, went like that and ripped the camera. So I was like, oh, that was dope. Then the next one was a Christmas tree lighting up. See the motion? Then when it gets to the top, it comes up and it comes back down. Then like the next frame would be like me holding my daughter like this. Like, whatever it is, you just you want the eyes to flow and you want it to make sense. You don't always want to go down, 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 up, 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 up. You want it to move around. And that's what transitions do. They allow you to do that. And some of us have, like a whip pan is just like a really fast motion like that. So it's like, whoosh, and you see something else. Hand in front. If you're doing more static videos, something like gym, every time you change an angle, you just go like that and you're in a new place. It's very, those aren't like the more exciting ones, but they work. They're different. 360 rotation, which is kind of what I'm doing now, where I'm like that, and then the next one's like this. Up and down are pretty easy. You just want it to blur. Fade in and fade out, those are just basic. Like that's if you have a hard clip, like hard cuts, you just put a little bit of black at the beginning and end, so it's like, it's real quick. That's if you can't do a transition with the camera, you do stuff like that. Cross dissolves are basic in-camera stuff. They like blur and come back up. I only use those if I have to because those are easy for everybody to use, which makes them not stand out as much if you're doing them on your stories. I only do hard cuts if the beat of the music is like rough. like I'm going to get into music in a second, you want to line up the transitions with the beats, the highest spikes of the music. So once again, now you're sitting visually and audioly, you're hitting the senses. Because now that's the hardest part. Putting music to your videos is the hardest part. Finding it, because if you're shooting to edit, the only downfall is you can't mess with the transitions because you've already made them. So that's why you see me do lots of slow-mo. Sometimes I speed things up because you can control that. So with the music.
Look at, maybe your dad might know this better, but you get a song and then look at, like you said, the wave bars.
Yeah, I'm going to do that for you. I'll show you guys.
If you cut 2 frames before the spike, because the eye registers visually first, and then the audible.
Yeah, you'll.
What I'm saying is, if you go onto YouTube and you pick the song, there's a way to look at the.
When you put it into the editing software,
It's in there.
you see the waves. So music, I like to use current music. Only reason being is it's relevant. You want people to know you as being relevant. Right now, you do not get penalized for using copyrighted music in Instagram stories. I don't know if they'll change that. If they do, it's just going to make it a little bit harder because now you got to go search and find for royalty-free stuff. The process just gets a little more because it's not easy. Like I hear a new song on the way to the way to the studio. I write it down. Now I have a song for that day. I have an ongoing list of songs that I like, categorized by, you'll notice as you do more and more stories, you do a lot of the same stuff, which is why they're so powerful because you're constantly creating new and exciting ways to do the same thing. We can all agree I do that with cycling. By doing that, one, you just establish repetition, you establish that you can constantly do things good, but with music, the relevant songs just make people think top of mind, and they're also associating you with cool music, pop music, but for each event or thing I'm doing, like, I'm not going to use the same type of song when I'm taking Chandler to the park versus if I'm going for my bike ride, versus if I'm flying on a plane or vlogging. You're going to have to learn to, read music or listen to it, because music has moods. Like, some are real fucking angry. Some are real, you want to cry. That's why I'll show you guys, my year-end video. I spent a lot of time on the music because I wanted people to hear messages, too, that they're going to now associate with me. So I don't do that every time, but if I know I have that control of doing it, I'm going to do it. The ways to do this, there's 2 things: KeepVid or listen to YouTube. Those are websites, keepvid.com, listen to YouTube. You can take any video you want, copy the URL, plug it in there, and you can download the video, and you get the audio off of it. The only problem with that is if it's whatever Vivo is on YouTube, if the song is on a Vivo account, they don't let you download those. I don't know why. But 9 times out of 10, there's another video of the same song. It may not be the best sound quality, but it's good enough for your story. Once again, it's that people aren't used to seeing high-quality audio inside Instagram stories, so you can get away with a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
It's something like that, so it sounds like on your stories you change it up. But if you maybe someone kind of pick more of a theme of music or a genre, would you then maybe start hashtagging and shouting out current artists, because then you could also bring your genre into your channel?
I do.
And maybe not just one single.
Yeah. If you're using somebody's music and you like them and you want to get on their radar, yeah, sure. I don't know if they're going to comment back. I've never had one comment back to me, but or actually I did. A band called Streaks. They commented back with a heart.
It just seems like if you put up more hashtags and more things, you can just link it back.
You can't. I like the hashtags and the tagging and the location tags, but I've never seen them get me more followers. I don't see a correlation. And I don't want to ruin the experience of the story by putting a big location tag and a hashtag and all kinds of shit in front of it. I'm more worried about the end look of the actual video than, because in my opinion, the followers will come. I do believe in location tags, though. If you can put a location tag on it, you're going to get a few extra 100 views if it's in a good place. The only downfall is, we were talking about yesterday, if it's a multiple part story, you put the location tag on each one. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to put both of them together in the thing, so it breaks apart your story into 2 different parts, and to me, that annoys me, because now you're not seeing my work as it's supposed to be seen. So.
Wouldn't tagging the artist for the current music possibly get you around the copyright infringement?
It is, but I mean, yes. It's like saying I'm stealing your song.
I mean, not that they probably would have given it, it's gone, you know, like that.
That's why I think it's kind of like a whatever. Like, but I try to tend to think in reciprocity mindset, whereas like, hey, this guy's using our song. I feel like the only artists that get mad for stealing is like Pantera and Metallica and all these old school bands that don't want to change with the times and are fighting the fact that everybody's going to pirate their shit anyways. And if they're mad about it, they're just going to pirate it more to piss them off. Like, so, but yeah, you know, so the music, I mean, I don't know. They may change it. They may copyright it. I don't know. You know, but if that does, I'm probably going to make a video about what I'm doing about that. So my gear, and then we're going to get into filming. I know we're running low on time. I use 3 different GoPro sessions for everything. Now, when you're going to do these, you need to decide what type of videos you're going to be doing, because if you're going to be talking to your camera a lot, this thing sucks. Show, don't tell, this is the best one out there by far. 4K, or I shoot in 2.7K linear mode, which is the highest resolution. Because it's an action camera, they tend to like make the shit really wide. So the Session 5 has a linear mode, which is just a good lens. Yeah, Tim?
Last night you were telling me that GoPro makes a little adapter.
Mm-hmm.
So you can hook a microphone to that. Have you tried that to see what the audio is like?
I haven't tried it, and I'm sure it works, but the only problem is where's my microphone? There's not really any smaller microphones than that. So,
Like just a
lavalier
lapel.
yeah, you can. I've done that before in the year-end video where I'm talking.
Yeah.
It's a lavalier. Like I just synced it up the same way I do a video in there. I clap before it, sync it up, and edit it later. So yeah, you can do that. It's just an extra step. But if you're planning on talking like I was in that video, yeah, I did that. But
Well, it saves you a step as far as like editing the audio.
one thing is also if you're doing the transitions like that and you have a cord hanging and a microphone.
It's just gonna, yeah.
And another thing which I was talking to Andrew about, I used to use metal frames for the GoPro, like because I was riding my bike a lot and like the metal frame would protect it. But what I found is they don't quite fit perfectly. So every time I would do that, it would go tink inside the camera.
Yeah.
And it would ruin the footage if I didn't, so I had to put music over everything. Like sometimes I want to use the transition sound because it sounds cool. It's like, you know, so, and the other reason that with this session is, the session is meant to be shot with the button on top, which is widescreen. All the mounts still work, you just turn it to the side, now you're shooting vertically for Instagram stories. With like Savannah, she's holding her camera sideways. You have to make a special mount to mount a bigger camera for that. So this, once again, makes it very easy. And it's like really small.
So let's say just getting started with this and trying to multi-purpose some things for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say the video that you recorded in your studio, if you just have a session with a little microphone, maybe it would work for that as long as the lighting is good.
You can. It's just if you're gonna do that, I wouldn't say do it in a studio. I say just walk outside. The problem with the GoPro is the lenses. There's no depth of field, and what that means is like, you ever seen where they're blurred behind you? You're more in clear. That's what happens with like the nicer cameras like this. Is it creates a slight depth of field, so you pop out a little bit more. With the GoPro, you don't have that, so it just kind of looks like you're far away. It's not as crisp. It works. Like that's what I did, and like I'll play my year-end video because again, it's what I did when I was just talking. I was just holding it like that, like. But I had the lavalier mic on too. I planned it. I turned it on, turned the mic on, go. All right, guys. Like that's what I did. But other stories, I've just wind's going by and I'm talking to the camera. Once again, it's in stories. They don't expect Audacity quality audio and like recording studio sound, so you can get away with it. Plus, I'm riding my bike, so it's like, dude's talking to me while he's riding his bike. I get it. It's windy. So as far as that, so that's the cameras. I also, for filming my videos in there, I use this camera, a Canon EOS M3. Reason I got this was because this was the cheapest camera, or the most the cheapest camera I could afford at the time that still had an external port for an audio, so I could use an external microphone. Ironically, I don't use this at all. I use my audio recorder. So when I tell people, don't buy this camera. But the one that Savannah's been using is probably one of the best ones you can use to get started. Like if you're doing this, like if you want a camera that can kind of do both, this is small enough to where you can do stories and not be a weirdo. This is the A5000, and they also have the A5100. This one was like what, $369 you said or something?
It's like 340.
350. This has got really good autofocus and low light.
Does the screen flip up
Yep.
on this one? Nice.
And then Michael, you had the 5100,
Yeah.
and that's a $600 camera.
Yeah.
Ryan, what's that one?
This is the A5000.
Like I use it for vlogging, stories.
Sony. The Sony cameras are really good if you find yourself in low light situations. And what it means by low light, the GoPros are really good because they're only good in daylight. Hold that. They're not good at night unless things are really well lit. The GoPros are meant, like they're action cameras, so they're meant to be slung down a mountain on some skis. Like that's what they use action cameras for action sports. You don't tend to do those at night. So GoPro built the camera to work well in those situations. The Sony, for the money, has some of the best low light. So if you're like warehouse gym, like strength camp, if that's like if you work out in like a darker gym, like you need low light, like to make your stories crisp, or else they're going to be real blurry.
Does that have built-in video stabilization?
Maybe. I just got this camera a couple weeks ago. Or I guess I got it a month ago now.
I think you gotta get up into the 600 series or 6000 series for good image stabilization.
Yeah. But the GoPro has amazing image stabilization because it's an action camera. It's meant to be flown off helicopters and shit. So you got to really decipher what you want to do for the situations. I mean, in my opinion, like I could get by with a GoPro and my phone unless I was filming long content. Like then you need memory cards and shit, or like you had to delete everything off of your phone. And also for a lot of what I do, like the GoPro fits because I can put the different mounts. Like let me grab one of the mounts to do all the stuff I do like on my bike. I use this one. This literally just holds the GoPro in my mouth. And I can, I just take this off, which probably need my, it's too tight right now. But yeah, I take this off and I remount it like this. And now I just hold it in my mouth. I found out for this because surfers use it when they're surfing. Like,
What up, parkour guys?
yeah, parkour. Yep. Oh yeah, well yeah. It's just, so it's just so you see it. It's just, and it's really light too. Like you don't like. That's how I do all my cycling footage. Is just if you use a plastic. Is this plastic frame? Yeah. The plastic frame is a lot lighter in your mouth than the metal one. I found that out too. But yeah, just boom. No, you can do anything you want. And also, it's actually like a decent handle, too. So like, that's when I'm riding my bike and I go, just because I'm holding it. It was $22 on Amazon. And like this, I mean, it opens up possibilities to show a lot of stuff. Like we were talking about, you could show yourself lifting weights, but it might, you have to get creative with that. But you can show what you're eating, you can show what you're cooking, you can show where you're sitting. And it just creates these interesting angles. Let's see, I use my iPhone quite a bit too. I've filmed entire stories with my iPhone. Same principles apply. I would just highly recommend you get one of those pop sockets, because the last thing you want to do is throw your phone like a transition and shatter the screen on the ground. The audio recorder I use, on my paper I wrote H3. I did it by mistake. I use this one, which is a Zoom H1. This is $85, I think. I've had this thing now for like 2 years. It's great. And this lavalier mic, it's like a $20 one from Amazon. As far as we can go look, so let's go into the studio and I'll show you guys all the lights that I use, because if you're going to do talking head videos, I would urge you to invest or learn about lighting. I know it's going to get cramped in there right now, but.
Do you want me to do that again?
Huh?
You want me to fill in there again?
No, that's fine.